Hello everyone. Today we are going to see some questions on text completion for GRE. So let's begin. So the first question is, although retired, the professor takes pains to remain dash the latest developments in her field. Now it's about a lady professor. Although retired, you see this although, whatever is written after this although, right? Whatever is written after this although retired. So this will be in contrast to the next part, because although is contrast indicator, although retired. So when we see retired, what do we basically think about that retired person? That retired person will spend a lot of time. Retired person will be relaxed. Okay, will not do new things. Will not spend his or her time. But you see, although retired, the professor takes pains to remain dash the latest developments in her field. Now, it's about her field. The professor was from a particular field. If a professor is retired, that professor will not spend time in her or his field. Now, the professor, although retired, the professor takes pains to remain. Now, what word suits over here? The very first thing is that you need to focus on the indicators. You see this contrast indicator, although. Now, with this although, you have understood that it is although retired. With this word although, you can identify that whatever clause will follow after the clause related to although. So the clause related to although is retired. But after that, you will see something. After that, this part will be something which is in contrast to this uh, uh, part which comes with the word although. So that part is retired. So the next part in her field, next part should be definitely something which is in contrast to the retired word. So in the next part, you see that professor takes pains to remain dash the latest developments to her field. Now, you see the options are akimbo to, abreast of, obtuse to, subservient to, and askance to. Now you gotta know the words. Let's check out the meaning of the word. So for this question, the correct option is abreast of, because it means up to date with the latest developments in our field. See, although a retired person doesn't take that much of efforts to be up to date with the developments in her or his fields. So although is contrast indicator. So although retired means someone who doesn't take that much of interest to be up to date with the developments in our field. But although what is there, so we will see something which is in contrast with that. So herein, of course, we want something which shows that the person is taking pain to remain up to date with the latest developments in our field. So abreast of is something which means up to date with. Now, akimbo, we know that person who is standing in that position, who is ready to take the challenges. But it is not about taking the challenges. It is about being ready, being up to date with the developments in the field. So abreast of is pretty much going with it. Obtuse to means someone who is very much slow and insensitive, but it is totally opposite to that. It's not going with it. Subservient means servant to. Okay, askance means suspicious to something. So this is also not going. This is also not going. Up choose to is also not going. So abreast of is the only correct option. So let's move on to the next question, which is, she was not only dash. She was not only dash. It's not only dash of the long proposed legislation, but okay. Now, but not only but means not only but are basically the combination of the words which are very crucial in finding the sentence, the gist of the sentence. Now, not only means whatever is going to be here, whatever is going to be here after not only will be in alignment with the next part. Next part means the part after but, because not only he is not only good, but he's not only good, but he is kind hearted. He's not only good, but he is rich. is not only good but also or but reach. Now if we say the first part after not only is positive, so the next part should also be positive, right? So after not only, whatever is there will always be in alignment with the part after but, right? If this is positive, this will also be positive. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, she was not the only dash of the long proposed legislation, but she was dash who finally got the bill onto the legislative agenda. Now you see, she was not the only dash of the long proposed legislation. See the option: apologist means supporter. Supporter. Now critic means one who doesn't support, one who criticizes. Proponent means one who advocates some proposed idea. Advocate of PRO, proposed idea. Okay, proposed idea or proposed concept, whatever it is. Okay, now we know supporter and advocate of proposed idea are pretty much synonymous. Okay, let's talk about them later. Can you identify the word for this blank? She was not the only supporter of the long proposed legislation. She was not only the critic. Oh, we cannot identify because all the words are going. We need to identify the second blank. So in such cases, when you are not able to identify the first blank, just move on to the second blank. It will help you to find out the first answer. So in this case, but she was the dash who finally, but she was the dash who finally, she was the dash who finally got the bill. So the sentence over here is who finally, she was the dash who finally got the bill onto the legislative agenda. Now you see, it's about a bill. This is a bill B. Okay, now this is legislative assembly. Now earlier this bill was not there in legislative assembly, so she was dash who finally got this bill onto the legislative assembly. So she brought this change. This was not there earlier, so she brought the change means she was the person, who brought the change bringer. She was change bringer. So someone who brings the change is called as catalyst. Catalyst means someone who brings the change. Okay, now the other word is mercenary. Mercenary means money oriented. So it's not about money oriented, right? The person who is bringing the change is not money oriented. He or she is called as catalyst. Another one is lucky. Now this is not lucky, this is lucky. It is pronounced as lucky. Lucky means servant. Okay, now servant. Now person who brings the change, person who is basically getting the bill into legislative assembly, do you think that person is a servant? No. So this is not going. Do you think that person is money oriented, means mercenary? No, it is also not going. The person who is bringing the change, such change, is a catalyst, of course. The person who is getting the bill onto the legislative assembly, which was not there earlier, so that person is catalyst, of course. Okay, now you know the answer over here, which is catalyst, change bringer. Okay, now you see here, she was not the only dash of the long proposed legislation. Now this was a long proposed legislation, so she was not the only she was not the only dash of the long proposed legislation. So you have the option as apologist, which means supporter. Another one is critic. Now she got the change, right? So it's positive. No, she positively got the change. So she was supporter. You can think that this is the answer, supporter. But critic is pretty much opposite to that. But you see the another option, which is proponent. Proponent means advocate of some proposal. Now she was supporter, of course. That's why she brought the change. She was advocate of that proposal. Advocate means someone who supports publicly and talks in favor of that proposal. So supporter is okay, but proponent is slightly higher in degree of the support. Supporter advocates the proposal, means he or she not only supports but also publicly take the favor of that particular proposal and talks in favor of that proposal. So this proponent is slightly higher in that degree, right? And based on higher intensity of work or favor toward that bill, the bill can then be brought into the onto the legislative agenda. So this proponent is pretty much going with the blank. So the correct option over here is proponent. So for first option you have proponent, and for the second one you have catalyst. So I hope you have understood how do you basically identify the words, and there is no other trick. You have to follow the keywords. You have to follow the keywords, and sometimes if first blank is not giving you the answer, you have to go through the second blank, and other than that you have to be good with the vocabularies. Okay guys, so if you have any doubt, please comment, like this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon.